Okay, in this video I'm going to do numbers 1 and 3 from the review. This is found in section 6.2 of your notes for reference. Basically, we just have to write the equation of the quadratic, and it gives us one of the key features, whether it be the x-intercept or the vertex, and it gives us a point that it passes through. Well, for this we're going to need to know which form of a quadratic to use. If you remember, there are 3 forms of a quadratic. We have standard form, which was y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. We have intercept form, which is y equals a times x minus p times x minus q. And if you remember, p and q are the x-intercepts. And then we have vertex form, which is y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. And for this one, our coordinate hk is the vertex. Alright, so my first thing that I need to do is decide which form I'm going to use. Well, I noticed that this question gives me the x-intercepts, so that should be a big red flag to me saying, oh, I'm going to write this equation in intercept form. So here, my x-intercepts are what represent p and q. So I'm just going to write that up there. And I'm just going to write intercept form, y equals a times x minus p, so this is going to be minus 7, and x minus q. So when I subtract a negative 3, that becomes a positive 3. All right. The problem is I need to solve for what a is. And the way I can do that is, you notice, this is where this other point comes in. This other point represents an x-coordinate and a y-coordinate. So what I can do is I can plug those into my equation. Plug it in, plug it in. 1 equals a times x, which we see is 0, minus 7, 0 plus 3. So I'm going to get 1 equals a times negative 7 times 3. And when that multiplies all together, I get negative 21a. So now to get a by itself, I'm going to divide by negative 21. And so I'm going to get that a is negative 1 over 21. And now all I have to do is take this and plug it back right there. So y equals negative 1 over 21, x minus 7 times x plus 3. And that is my answer. So that was writing in intercept form. We're going to do the same thing down here, but this time, notice they gave me a vertex. So this time, oh, they gave me a vertex. That means we should use intercept form. So I'm going to use the a times x minus h squared plus k, and the coordinate hk represents the vertex. So I see my vertex is hk. So y equals a times x minus h, which means I'm going to go minus 1 squared, plus k, which means we're going to keep it the same, minus 2. And just like we did with the one above, to solve for a, I'm going to use this other point that they gave me as x and y. So I know y, which is 16, equals a times x, which we see is 0, minus 1 squared, minus 2. Here's what I would suggest doing. In the same step, I'm going to add this 2 over to the other side, and I'm going to simplify this. So I get 18 equals a times negative 1 squared. Well, negative 1 squared, that's just positive 1. So this is just a times 1, which is just a, which is great because that's all I needed to solve for. So now I'm going to take this a and I'm going to plug it back in right there. So your y equals 18 times x minus 1 squared minus 2. And those are those questions.